For some time now, the issue of farmers and herdsmen clashes has always been the subject of discourse in the Nigerian polity. The January 2nd, 2018 attack on two local government areas, Loko and Guma in Benue State, that have left lives lost and properties vandalized, escalated the threat of these clashes. In tackling this incessant attack, the federal government is proposing cattle colonies for states. In the studio to shed more light on these developments, an analyst, Jide Ojo. You're welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me. Good evening.
Good evening. Moving to our first question, what is your view on this proposed cattle colony as directed by the federal government?
Well, it's not a directive, it's a suggestion.
Okay.
I think for me, there is a need for more sensitization. Perhaps there is a need for a national dialogue or conference on this to further enlighten people. There's a lot of misgivings, a lot of distrust, a lot of misrepresentation. I have read what Chief Ogbe suggested last week Monday when six governors met with the Interior Minister, and he was suggesting that peradventure, if we have a cattle colony where about 5,000 acres are donated to by states to federal government to provide infrastructure that would be needed by these herders. That way, they will not need to graze their cattle, in an itinerant manner as we currently have it. And he said that it dates back to 1942. It's not new, it's not fresh. It's something that federal government just want to take up. That since 1942, the colonial masters actually mooted the idea, and that was why we have the Obudu Cattle Ranch. He also said the late Sir Amadou Bello established another cattle colony in Mokwa in Niger State, and that even Chief Obafemi Awolowo of blessed memory had one established in Akuno in Ondo State. And more recently, the immediate past governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, established one at Oga, also in Ondo State. That is not a new idea. But you see, because of the word colony, people believe that, this is a bid to have these herders colonize. But you see, for me, nothing is too much to have peace. And I'm not talking of peace of graveyard, a lasting peace. Peace and security is the primary essence of government. We are talking of ranching as initial suggestion. What Chief Ogbe said is that ranching is, yes, is ideal, and we can have it alongside the cattle colony. If you don't want to stay in colony, what the idea of cattle colony is that there will be water reserve, there will be grass planted by federal government, water reserve for the cattle to be fed where they are, and that there will be several ranches within that colony. Okay. So individuals will say, this is my own ranch, it's like having a big poultry farm that belongs to different individuals. But this time we are talking of cattle, and that different animals have been put in colony. We have snake colony, crocodile colony, and all of that. So what I'm saying in essence is that because a lot of this idea seems strange, people need to be further educated. The governors, maybe not the governors forum, needs to be brought in and explained to all critical stakeholders, because we also need to ask the elders whether they are buying into that cattle colony idea. More so that it's not coming for free, because they might have to pay for some of the services that will be provided. Like the minister said, grass has been imported from US, from Brazil, from Argentina, there will be water reservoir and all of that. You may have to pay some token for you to access some of these things. Then there will be provision of school for the... So by and large, it's like what you have now in many instances where you have Sabo, which is more reserved for where we have predominance of people of northern extraction, Hausa Fulani basically. And they have found in virtually every state. You have, I know in Oyo State there is a Sabo in Mokola area of Ibadan. So it's not a very strange idea. If it's going to ensure a lasting peace, I'm all for it. And that doesn't preclude the idea of individuals going into ranching. The president has a cattle ranch in his home state in Daura, in Katsina State. Even Admiral Murtala Yako in Adamawa has cattle ranch. So many other Nigerians, big farmers have cattle ranch. So the idea of ranching, the idea of cattle colony is not entirely strange, but a lot of people don't know about it. So they need to be further educated.
Okay, so you're saying sensitization.
Sensitization to see the pros and cons, how it's going to be implemented, and whether government will be sincere and faithful to the implementation. So much so that it will not be an abandoned project. That people, the governors will donate land, the federal government will fail to do its own part by making sure, because what I've read, they said even these cattle that are being headed from north to south, that because of lack of proper feeding and watering, they are not as productive as those that are in those cattle colonies, those who are ranked. So the quality of meat you get, the quality of milk you get from those cattle are very limited. So it's even in the enlightened best interest of the herders to go into ranching. And also, one thing I need to also flag is that it has been found, research has found out that many of these cattle herders are not the owner of the cattle. They are not. They are not the owner of the cattle. They are rearing the cattle on behalf of some VVIPs, very, very important personalities. And these are the people that the government needs to talk to. That, look, you may not want to come into cattle colony, but please do go ranch your cattle. And these are the advantages that stands to your credit. And government can help those who are willing to go into ranching by giving them soft no. After all, we have this anchor borrower scheme for those farmers who are into rice production, maybe cassava production, maize production, which gives them soft loan to be able to produce on a large scale. Similar incentive can be extended to these herders so that they stop all this, which is even a danger to their own lives.
Okay, so now still talking about this cattle colony and provision of land. So can we say that governments are allowed or should provide land for people to do
what Chief Ado Ogbe said is this, that he is asking the governors who are willing to go into cattle colony to donate 5,000 hectares to federal government as cattle colony. So about 16 states allegedly have bought into the idea and willing to give the, but it's not mandatory. It's only for states that are willing to partner with federal government. But I think for lasting peace, because whether we like it or not, these herders farmers clashes is not going to go anywhere soon if we don't find a very lasting solution to it. There may be a demographic shift. It may move from Taraba today to maybe another state tomorrow. You know, we used to have that issue in Plateau. Now it's in Benue. Then it's moved to Taraba. We don't know where it's going next. Is it Edo? Is it Delta? So what we need to do is that let's have foresight that what can guarantee lasting solution to this problem. And that's what we should all pursue. The good thing is that the federal government and the majority of the state government belong to the same party. The National Assembly belongs to the party in power. So if it's to come up with legislation to back this up, it is easy and it is easier for federal government to send a bill to National Assembly to get this, to give a legal teeth to this issue of establishment of cattle colony and ranching.
Okay, now let's take it. Cattle colonies and anti-grazing law. Which do you think is going to help curb this menace of unnecessary killings?
The anti-open grazing law will become needless if you have these cattle colonies.
Okay.
Because then you now say, look, federal government will come. That's why I'm talking of legislation. That once it becomes a law, a federal law that covers all the 36 states and FCT, to say that, look, you are not supposed to move your cattle on foot around the country in terms of grazing. You are supposed to have it in cattle colony. If you fail to do so, these are the punishment. So government can confiscate any cattle that does not move into the colony or ranch, thereafter. So the issue of having anti-open grazing law is a charge of necessity. And right now, it's about the fastest things that the governors can do to ensure safety and security of lives in their states. But that will not last long. What will last long is, let's look at this, let's give this cattle colony idea an opportunity. Let's try it. Let some states pioneer it. Let the government demonstrate the political will. Let them support the herders to be able to move into the colonies. Let them also enlighten both the farmers and because some people will definitely have to be displaced for these colonies to be established. And somebody is saying, what about the land? That means the land belongs. No land belongs to an individual. The lands that are vested in the state. You understand? Land Use Act of 1977 has vested all lands in the state. So the state can, on behalf of the populace, donate land for developmental purpose. And in this sense, it makes sense for me. If we have that, if it's going to bring lands, if there will be faithful implementation, that's another realm of discussion altogether. Because sometimes we start very noble ideas. And then 6 months down the line, it's abandoned. There's a change of government. The incoming administration decide not to discontinue with it. That's why I said there must be legal backing to whatever we are doing. Okay. Look at the Almajiri school nomadic education. An administration brought it to fall. Today it's been abandoned. These Almajiri schools that Jonathan built have all been abandoned. They have been converted to something. But let's assume that there is a federal law that says that these schools must be established. Any incoming administration will find it difficult to abandon such projects. So there is a lot involved. Okay. But beyond and above that is proper sensitization. Dialogue, meaningful dialogue, sincere dialogue, not political dialogue as you are saying one thing, you are doing another thing. And this is the area of politics. Okay. And we need to just show that every death diminishes us. Okay, we must stop this bloodletting, whatever it takes for us to have a lasting peace in Nigeria is what I will support. Okay, so in other words, you're saying for the between the cattle colony and anti-grazing law, we need to have a cattle colony, and then there will be no need for the anti-grazing law can also work alongside. It can work, because what anti-grazing law is suggesting is ranching. It's ranching. This one just takes it a notch further. Right. That look, rather than saying ranching, you can actually have a group of ranches in a colony, and in a dedicated area. So it's not like even federal government, many state government came up with the idea of what's it called now? Mechanic village. Oh. You understand? When the issue of mechanics being all over the streets and everywhere, they say, okay, let's have a mechanic village. So everyone that wants their car repair goes there, buys spare parts, buy everything, repairs their car there. This is just like an idea. It's similar to that. Okay. If government can have mechanic village and the land in that mechanic village still belongs to government, I don't see why the land in the cattle colony should belong to the Hausa Fulani who occupies it. It's just misgiving that we have, and we can resolve this with sincerity of purpose and political will. So that's why I'm saying let's have more sensitization around. Let's have dialogue around it. Let people see the cost-benefit analysis, and let there be sincerity of purpose and political will.
Okay, so finally, what would be your message to the affected states on how to end this crisis?
Well, we need to judge all down to war. We have suffered enough. Every death, like I said earlier, diminishes us. you know, Nigeria has always been in international global news negative. You know, that's why Donald Trump can afford to call us shithole, that we live in North, we believe, because we behave like a barbarian, like people who has no sense. And these things, we can solve our own problems. And I just think the most important thing is sincerity of purpose on the part of people in authority, on the part of, because whether we like it or not, on the part of Fulani S-men, they've also been victims in certain instances. They've also suffered loss. The farmers have suffered loss. Both sides have suffered loss. So how can we mediate and ensure a win-win solution? That is what is bringing about this idea of cattle colony and ranching. That it brings a win-win solution to everybody. You have where to graze. You have a place where you can even multiply your production and earn more from your animal husbandry if you embrace the idea of ranching and cattle colony. But like I said, government must have sincerity of purpose. Who are the owners of those cattle? Those are the people you should speak to, not the people who are the herders. The herders are on commission. You know, like, okay, if your cattle bears four kids or four, I don't know what they call, I get one for my effort. It happens in Yoruba land. If you give somebody goats to rear for you, when they have kids, you take your own commission, then the owner takes maybe the majority portion. So you need to find out who actually are the owners of these cattle. And you will find out that many of them actually has the capacity to ranch. To ranch, and the idea of ranching is still inherent in cattle colony. Because it's not like 2 million cattle will be put in one place. There will be owners. You understand? So there will be this ranch belonging to Musba. This ranch will belong to Audu. This one belongs, but it will be in a maybe fenced environment, like an idea of mechanic village that I talked about. Chinedu will have his own. Bayo will have his own. Everybody gets to have it. They know their own shops. The same way, cattle colony is just a agglomeration of many ranches. So at the end of the day, it's more profitable for the owners of the cattle to have their ranch. You know why? It saves them this issue of rustling, because in the course of rearing their cattle, armed robbers will lay them, rustle their cattle, appropriate them, sell it off, and make the money. But when you have their ranch, it's very difficult for you, because there will be many of you who are ranching in that colony. So the collective security will protect your property. Then you have more milk production, more meat production. You sell more, you make more money, and the farmers will be at peace. In fact, the farmers may even be coming to you to collect manure to nourish their farmlands. So everybody gets to win. It's a win-win situation. If we actually understood the way I understood it, if that's the way government intends to do, I think it's a win-win situation, and we should give it a chance. We should give it a try.
All right. Thank you very much for
coming. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.